Hello, everyone. Yes, we are back here once again with the next episode of A Conversation with Kely. One of like 3 we're going to be doing in the next several days because there's a lot going on. Believe it or not, we are at the end here. We are at the end of BB Can. There's only 1 episode left this season, which is just absolutely insane to me. But you know what? It's kind of refreshing because normally when you watch a Big Brother season, it's like, oh my God, I can't wait for this to end. Like this just keeps going and going. Whereas here, it's been like the opposite effect where it's like, oh my God, it went by so fast, which is just crazy to think about. But of course, before we do get into that, I am here with my lovely co-host, Allie. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I've got Starbucks.
All right. That's good.
And I'm just in your presence.
Coffee, so that's already a good choice.
I'm mainly just in your presence because I love you.
Yes. Me too. I love being in your presence. But no, we, of course, are here to talk about the Final Four. It's only the 2 of us. We were not able to really find any guests. We do have an announcement about the finale, though, which we'll talk about at the end of this in terms of who will be on and things like that. But not a ton to talk about, obviously, because it's Final Four. But we're going to try to do the best that we can and things like that. So I guess we'll really just get into it. I will say, similar to last week, I think it really says a lot about how good this season is that still at Final Four, there's a lot of interesting strategy, a lot of good conversations going on, I think that says a lot about how good this season has really been. I don't really think there's ever been a week, except for that one Kiefer week with like Kyle and Roe, that has disinterested me. And even that week, like it just wasn't as interesting as the others. I didn't find
that one was honestly that was probably like the most boring week.
Yeah, I didn't find necessarily boring. It just was very straightforward, and this has not been a straightforward season at all. So that's probably why. Like that was the one week where I'm like, this is all right. But let's just get into everything that went down this week. So we just, cutting to the chase, Ty wins HOH, of course, and I am so happy that he did.
I'm so excited.
I feel like, especially considering that the only other HOH he had was one that he wasn't sure, whether or not it was actually valid, if it was one that he could actually count in his resume. He really needed this, not just because he secured the spot in the final 3, but he's played a game that I feel like a lot of people want to play where he's actually never been nominated once. He never was on the block. He's really never had to fight a lot in this game. And I think that really says a lot about just how much, just how well set up he's been, I think, from jury and onward. He has just absolutely been killing this game. And him winning HOH, I think, just really secures his fate within the final 3 overall.
I think so, too. And, because he's definitely one of the bigger threats to win. So I definitely think he needed this because he could have been targeted.
Definitely. Oh, yeah, they definitely could. If Kiefer won HOH, he would have been gone.
Yeah, he probably
absolutely would have been gone. He would not have hesitated at all. But
I feel like if he didn't win HOH, he would only be safe if he won veto.
Yeah, or if Breydon won veto.
Or if Breydon,
tie down, I think he has just played such a phenomenal game. And we'll get more into, I think, at the end of this video, the possibilities of what we think is going to happen tonight and things like that. But really, I mean, it just goes without saying, Ty's game has been absolutely phenomenal. And there's so many areas in which it should not have worked for him as well as it did. And yet it has. And I think this is just another example of just how well he's really played the game all season. But we see Kiefer is immediately feeling defeated, thinking that he's probably going to go this week, which, I don't think that should be a shock to anyone. And Tera, meanwhile, is feeling very frustrated because she feels the Ty has put a very little of a fight this season. And it's like, well, I mean, that because he hasn't really had to. He's played the game well enough to where he hasn't had to do that. Meanwhile, you, Tera, throughout the first half of this game, did absolutely nothing until you won.
Yeah, Tera didn't start winning comps till later, and then because at first her and Tina were literally just lounging and doing nothing.
But literally, I see so many people being like, "Oh, Tera's in the best spot to win this game," and I'm just thinking, what season did you watch? I just don't think yes, she won an HOH. Yes, she won comms when she needed to, but like comp wins aren't anything if you don't have a social game to back it up. And I just don't think she had a great social game this season.
No, not at all.
Obviously, yeah, there was a buyback, but like if that buyback didn't happen, Tera would be gone. So like I just don't think she's done a lot. So again, I get but it's also like what were you gonna say?
I don't think I see Tera winning, but we'll see.
Like, I definitely get the frustration, but like, it's also kind of her fault because she was so sure that Jed was going to win the game and that Jed was in this amazing spot that she didn't even consider putting Ty up. And now look where she is. So
I know
no one to blame but herself at this point. But we see Ty, he tells Breydon that he still needs him to gun hard for the veto, which makes sense, obviously, because he wants to make sure things go 100% in their way, but he's for sure not putting him up on the block. It's not even a possibility in his mind. He wants to take Kiefer out because he feels he has a better shot of beating Breydon or Tera, and I think so too. You know, I've seen a lot of people
I think so too.
That the jury is very bitter at Ty and things like that. I think it's really just Beth and Jed that are bitter. I think everyone else is like for Ty.
I think so too. I mean, I don't really see Jed being that bitter at him. Maybe
we did see that one segment when he first came in saying like he was most angry at Ty.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like
I feel like Jed and Beth do respect his game. They're just a little bit upset right now.
Yeah, I feel like Jed is very much a stand-up guy in that way to where, like, you know, he will definitely respect game and he definitely understands why Ty had to make the move that he did. But you can't really blame him for being as hurt as he was coming in, obviously. So Kiefer then proposes this final 2 to Ty, saying that if he's at the end with either Breydon or Tera, he's not winning. And I really don't know. I mean, I get why he wanted to do this because obviously, like, you got to propose any deal. But, like, there was no way Ty was going to take this. Like, he's had a locked final 2 with Breydon for a while now. There was just no possible way that he was going to accept this deal. And I also don't think it'd be advantageous for Ty. Like, I've seen people say it'd be the most interesting outcome for sure, but I don't think Ty wins there. I think Kiefer was so loved and so respected by the jury. I mean, we've seen the clips of the jury house. Everyone's saying we love Kiefer.
Yeah, I think Kiefer was definitely like the jury threat.
100%. Like, I just don't think that even if Ty's there with him, I don't think he wins. I think it's close, but I don't think Ty ends up winning. So I'm glad that Ty was basically like, yeah, there's no way in hell I'm taking this deal. No. So Tera tells Breydon that she feels taking out Kiefer would be the bigger move. Breydon tells her that people would not feel that they played the game really until the second half, which is very much true for Tera. For Breydon, kind of, but I feel like Breydon was like doing things behind the scenes. Yeah,
I mean, technically before, like when Austin was still in the house, Breydon was literally just like her shadow, basically her shadow.
Yeah, but the thing with Breydon is that, and I think why his game, for me at least, is more impressive than Tera's, is that Tera really only worked with Tina. She never really did much. The only week she really did do something is when Kyle was going to leave and she was trying to flip the vote and it failed. Whereas
Breydon at least had like that alliance from the beginning with Austin and Julie, which sadly didn't last.
Right, so he was always very well set up. He just constantly found ways to get in with other people. So I think Breydon definitely still has a very solid chance of winning this game. I can definitely still see it happening. But basically, she asked him about him and Ty's relationship, and I'm glad that they had this conversation because I've seen a lot of people just be very hesitant on whether or not this was a good move for Ty. And I've said all season, like, I think Breydon knows that like Ty's kind of playing him here, but he doesn't really care because it's working for both of them within the game. And like, sure, Breydon clearly has a crush on Ty. He admits that he does, but like, I don't think at the end of this game, he's going to be like offended by the way that Ty played, because I think Breydon knows, like, at the end of the day, they both kind of needed each other. And this was the best thing to happen to both of them. And he seems to know that while they're both playing the same game, they're very much on separate trajectories. Whereas, I think Ty's been playing a lot of this up. For Breydon, not really, but I think he's okay with that. And that's what I respect about Breydon, is that he's not going to be someone that gets mad at the way Ty's playing the game. So I've seen people compare this to like the Kevin Martin and what was his name? William, I think. Yeah.
William, yes.
Yeah, that whole relationship. I don't think this is like that because, again, I think Breydon knows that Ty is kind of playing him in that way, and I don't think he really cares.
Yeah. That was literally pretty much just all game, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely Kevin played him, but...
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen that season, but that's what I've heard.
It's a good one. You'll love it.
I've heard it's a great season.
And, all right, well... Ty goes ahead and he nominates Kiefer and Tera. No surprise.
Not a shock to anyone, which also that's everything we're talking about in terms of Sunday. I always say Sunday because fucking BBUS. I should know this by now, not to say Sunday, but in Monday's episode, that's really everything we're discussing because everything else was just the like award ceremony, which was cool. I enjoyed the way they did that. I will say,
I thought it was fun for sure.
Yeah, I much prefer this to just them sitting around the table and being like, hey, remember that time when we did this? Oh my God, that was so much fun. Like it didn't feel so overly scripted. This was a lot more, I think just this was a lot more compelling to watch. This was something that was not nearly as agonizing as that episode. I actually found myself enjoying a lot of that ceremony. The one thing I will say though, is that why the fuck wasn't the Vic and Tera fight within consideration for like the...
I don't know why.
Best fight. I feel like that was easily the best fight of the season. Like
that was amazing.
Everyone talking on Twitter. So I don't know why that fight was completely left out. But again, fun to watch. Not really a ton to say about it, but I did overall enjoy the BB Can Awards, and I wish they'd do that format in BBUS. I don't know if they'd ever consider it, but I think it would be a good way to do it moving forward. I think those episodes have gotten better recently because they focused a lot more on just the final three themselves, and they've done a good job with that. But what I really liked about this, again, is that it wasn't just like manufactured, overly edited clips. It actually had like some sort of a purpose, and it was just a lot more fun to watch, in my opinion. So, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I thought it was just really fun and very unique.
Yeah, me too. So everything else we're going to be discussing pretty much from this point forward is all centered around last night's episode, because that's the majority of like what we have to talk about, really.
All right. Well, Ty makes it clear he was never considering putting Bray on the block, especially with how close they've become, and he hopes to get Kiefer out this week, which is definitely the smartest move.
Absolutely.
Like, he definitely, I don't think anyone really beats Kiefer.
Yeah.
Kiefer talks to Tera and tells her this is a very different Final Four and that he's ever seen in Big Brother. Mainly that it's devout of floaters, and he hopes that she can win the veto and save him from going this week.
And he's right, definitely. I mean, the one thing you can say about this Final Four is that I wouldn't, even though I don't think Tera played a great social game, I wouldn't say she was a floater. I really would not say that. She just never really took advantage of the opportunities that she had. And I think that's why, to me, it's just not a very impressive game.
I mean, she did get Jed out twice.
She did get Jed out, but I think aside from that, I just think it's a very small resume compared to, say, Ty and Breydon, who have far more impressive narratives. So I like this conversation that Kiefer had with Tera. I think this is definitely one of the most interesting Final Fours, especially since, like, a lot of these people were not playing together for the majority of the game. We don't really see that a lot. And I really like him to
love that.
Do that here. Like Breydon and Ty and Kiefer especially were not nearly as close as they were in the beginning of the game. Normally that's not the case. And it's super refreshing to see just everyone kind of playing individual games in that way. Even though, yes, Ty and Breydon are like very much on the same trajectories game-wise, they still were playing individual games, and I think that's just really cool to see within the Final Four, because we don't see that a lot. Yeah. So Kiefer has this conversation with himself, and I like this a lot, where he's hyping himself up, saying like he's unstoppable, he will continue to achieve in the game.
I love this.
Yeah, I liked this, and then I also really liked on Monday's episode where he's like singing that that song from like his culture to like make himself feel better. It was really like wholesome to watch, and it
was super wholesome.
Yeah, you could see how much he really wanted this, and that is the thing. Like, I've had my ups and downs with Kiefer, but you cannot deny he's played an amazing fucking game. And
for sure. Like, I've never been his biggest fan, but I definitely think he has like good intentions and he's played a great game.
Definitely. I think that this was really great to see. I like that he never really went down without a fight, because that's the way that I like to play. I don't like to just, ever feel my fate is sealed. Kiefer wants to do whatever he can to continue hyping himself up, so like maybe he can stay, and he wants to try to win this veto. And so we get to the veto comp of the season, and I'll just say right now, this was easily my favorite comp we've had all season.
I loved it.
I love the way that it was constructed. I thought it was very elaborate. I've seen a lot of people say that the comps this season have felt very cheap, and I feel like it's because all of their budget went to this comp. They were just waiting to get to the really good stuff. And so we see this comp. It starts off taking place. It's almost like this detective's office, and it's basically a day's comp. They have to go through this filing cabinet and put the house guests in order. So nothing really all that different there. They then have to go into another room as a superhero, and I'm waiting for like the BB comics to appear, but then I realized this is BB Can and they don't do that, which is good because those suck these days. And they reorganize the wall so the numbers are in the right order. And I really thought this was interesting to watch too, because especially us knowing who ended up winning the veto, you really couldn't tell how this was going to go. It seemed like everyone was really struggling, especially Breydon. Breydon was not doing great in this comp at all.
That was definitely like a stressful one. Like, it honestly, like, anyone could win.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was what's been great about a lot of the comps this season is that it really hasn't been catered to like a specific person. It's been handled in such a way to where every comp is like, it's physical, but there's a little bit of strategy. It's physical, but there is a little bit of there's a little bit of like, mind to it. There's always a little bit of something. And that's something I appreciate about all the comps this season, is that none of them have felt like they're catered to a specific house guest. It really was something where like everyone could win. And I feel like this comp very much summed that up overall. So we see after this very stressful comp, Tera ends up pulling off the win, which I don't think any of us would have expected. We did
not expect that. Like, I'm impressed.
Yeah, and I mean, kudos to her, because like I think this definitely makes for the more interesting narrative that Tera won the veto, because like if Ty wins it, he wasn't going to change it, and then if Breydon wins it, nothing can really happen there. So it's one of those things where it was pretty obvious what was going to end up happening. So basically the final nominations are now Breydon and Kiefer, so I think, again, that made for the more interesting narrative. So then we check in with the jury. Not really a ton to talk about here. We see Beth arrives. Everyone seems like they expected to see her, except for Jed. Jed is the only.
Yeah, obviously Rohan doesn't really like her, so he wanted her to be there.
Yeah, I will say I did love the segment of like him and Jed working out, and
Me too.
Jed trying to get him to be like as fit as he is, and him being like, look at my biceps, and them being like, oh, they can't even see it. Like, just this has been such like a fun group.
That was so funny. I love them.
Yeah, definitely. I really enjoyed that segment a lot. But basically, Beth says she now wants Tera to win the game, which I'm just like rolling my eyes. Like, of course you do. Like, of course you want fucking.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe she'll get over it. Maybe, but she was probably.
I don't see it. I think Beth is someone that's really fucking pity, and I feel like she's someone that is going to be unnecessary. And I feel like she's also someone that just like loves to like take the spotlight. So I can easily see her tonight going in and being like, "Well, one of you betrayed me, so I'm gonna vote for the person that didn't," and then she locks in her vote. I can totally see that happening with.
Hopefully, they can convince her not to vote for Ty.
I hope not, but I'm not feeling very confident because of the way she's played the game this season. But she says she's a little bitter at all the guys, which I mean, like, it's kind of your fault, Beth, but okay. And the jury is very confident. This was interesting to me. The jury was very confident that Ty is going to be the next person in, which basically gives me the sense that they think that Ty is like in a good position to win the game. Like, I've seen a lot of people say that the jury seems very bitter against Ty, but I think it's because they assumed that Kiefer probably won that HOH, which obviously
I think so too. Yeah, I can see that. And Tera and Ty weigh out their options and say that Kiefer skated the whole game and has never really been a target, but they also feel like, which is true, and Ty says Kiefer has to go this week.
So it is true with Breydon, but like, correct me if I'm wrong, I really have not seen them bring him up much. Like, they have not talked about
I feel like they just like him more just like as a person, and they like bonded with him.
I mean, yeah, I think Breydon is definitely inherently likable, and that's one of the reasons why he's been able to work with so many people. He's just someone that, like, I think is easily able to, like, win you over in that way. But just in terms of, like, them discussing the jury, Breydon's name just hasn't really come up. They've been very high on Kiefer, and everyone else, I feel like, is kind of, like, flown by the wayside, but I feel like Ty is, like, the other person they want.
I think so, too. So. Tera goes to talk to Bray, and she asks if he'd cut Ty, and he says...
the naivety.
Right? And he says she's his final two at the end of the day, which is wrong.
Yeah.
And they've both been fighting the game together for weeks. Of course, in reality, he wants to take Ty to the end.
I loved how well he was able to manipulate Tera here, because he legitimately had her convinced that, like, he would be down to do it. He would be down to go after Ty at final 3. So I think tonight it's going to be interesting. You know, let's say he wins that final HOH and Tera's like, oh my God, I'm secured for final 2. And then he cuts her. That's going to be like historic to watch. And I think, again, it shows that Tera, I don't think, has had the greatest read on things, and that's another reason why I don't think she should be in the final 2, because she's been convinced that, like, people have had her back, when really the only person that has her back in this final 4 is Kiefer.
Yeah. So maybe like, in a way, it's smart to keep him just because he could take her, but, like, it's also bad because he could win.
Yeah, but I also feel like Kiefer is the only person that's going to take her. The only way
the
only way she gets in that final 2 is if she wins part 3.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Kiefer tells Tera he does think it would be a mistake to cut him, but he can see why she'd want to. She says her heart is saying she can't, but her head is saying she should, and he says he's not going to taint the jury if she cuts him, especially since it's been harder for both of them than it has for Ty and Breydon. And he tells her he has a chance to help his family out, and he admits he should have never even considered cutting her during the double. She says her mind, and she says her mind is not fully made up yet.
And this was definitely sincere to me. Like, I think Kiefer's been seeing Tera a bit, but I think he recognized that, like, I have no path to the end unless Tera is there. And I think I think he recognizes that Ty's not going to take him. Bray's not going to take him. Tera is the only person that's going to take him. And I thought for a split second, maybe this was going to work. Maybe he was going to be able to convince her. Because, like,
that would have been crazy.
To be honest, like, this is not a great move for Tera if she cuts Kiefer. Because, again, she's kind of shut out of that jury. But we get down to the eviction. Tera obviously uses the veto on herself. And when it comes down to the veto, she feels so. I like the way she went about this because she went through both of the people that were sitting there and, like, kind of weighing her options out. You could see that her mind really wasn't made up until I think she was standing there, and ultimately she feels the best thing for her game is sending Kiefer out, which I don't know about that, Tera. I don't think that was a great move for your game, but basically her, Breydon, and Ty are now in the final 3. And again, I understand that she wanted to do what Ty wanted. That's kind of what it felt like to me. It felt more like
it definitely did feel like she was just doing what Ty wanted, but I mean, I get it. Like, she wants to win because she feels like nobody can beat him.
Right.
But I mean, like, he was probably the only one who would. He probably was the only one who would take her, though.
Yeah, I mean,
it was kind of like a hit or miss either way.
Yeah. It's also like Final Four, and it's like you don't need to do what Ty wants. You can easily go against him. You can get rid of Kiefer. Like that would have been like get rid of Breydon. That would have been her best interest because Kiefer definitely would have taken her. It would have helped her odds a bit. But whatever, she decides to cut Kiefer. Definitely the outcome that I wanted because I want to see Ty and Breydon in the final three, and I feel like in the final two, and I feel like the best chance
I would love that. I would love that so much.
Yeah, the best chance that happening is sending Kiefer out. I also just love a good like blindside at the final four. I love when we get that could very easily win the game, get out, and not just like fucking Christmas going in Big Brother 22, who never had a chance of winning. But like Kiefer leaves. This is very interesting to me. He leaves, and I don't know if you noticed this, but he gestures over to Ty and he says, like, go get him. This is your game. You got this. So he really is pushing heavily for Ty to win the game. And I think if Ty's there, Kiefer's going to be one of the main people that are rallying for Ty. And I think Kiefer
I honestly could see Ty winning unanimously, but we'll see.
Yeah, I definitely could too, because I think, especially considering how much the jury loves Kiefer, taking that into consideration, I think his decision plays a big part in tonight's vote. I really do.
Yes, I think so
they
too.
all have so much respect for him to where I think he can easily sway them to like, even if they're like, let's say they're not high on Ty, he can make it so, you know, he can definitely change that and be like, well, look at what Ty did. Look at his game. So I thought it was really interesting that he was pushing hard.
He's also a good speaker, and he also has he has that charm.
Definitely. So during his interview, which I think this was probably one of my favorite interviews of the season.
I loved it.
You see, he feels very relieved, and he says Tera would have made a huge mistake because he would have easily won the game, which is true. But still, at the same time, I think keeping him would have been good for her. And basically, he says in the show, he was forced to be himself, and he wanted to make himself and his family proud. He talks about his, culture and how people know very little about the indigenous culture. And that's something I've enjoyed about Kiefer this season, is that he really has tried to represent a culture that I feel like a lot of people don't fully understand. And I thought it was really cool to see. It says a lot about the diversity in this season. And Kiefer, I think, is a big part of that, because how often do you see someone like Kiefer in this game? And it was really cool to see him, talking in Uruguay and things like that, and all the things that he was doing there. So I really did appreciate that. He says he feels honored to help represent them. And I just really enjoyed this interview with Arisa. I think it was definitely one of the better interviews of the season for sure.
I think it was I thought it was really like a genuine one, and I really love his passion for his culture and everything. It's just very like heartwarming.
Yeah, you could see how much he didn't just want that win for like him and his family. He wanted it for his culture. He wanted to look at his culture in a positive light. And you could see that for Kiefer, the game was bigger than himself in that way. And I think that's something that, again, he really represented very well. Before a few of the players left, the game is very much bigger than themselves.
Like, he definitely has like a big heart and everything. And I love that.
And I mean, tonight we could still have a big, serious stat happen, because we could have the first all, male black final two, which we've never seen.
Oh my gosh, I will love that so much.
Yeah, we've never seen that in Big Brother before. Obviously, we had Ricky and Tamar, but in terms of two black men sitting on the, sitting in final two together, we've never seen that happen. So I think that would be really cool. It's also just what I would want, because I think those two are the most deserving. Definitely.
I think so too.
Without a doubt, I think they're the most deserving there. But the only other thing to talk about here is that it is announced, which I thought was really ironic, because I talked about this and we said it does not happen. They are going to, the first time, have a Canada's favorite, which I wish they would have announced this like last week, because we're literally only given like less than 24 hours to do this. But I think this is probably going to go to one of three people. It's going to be Ro, or it's going to be Kiefer. I think it's probably those three.
Yeah. I mean, I really hope Victoria wins just because I have voted for her, but I also gave a couple votes to a few others as well.
Yeah.
But I definitely voted more for Victoria because she definitely deserves it.
If I could vote, which obviously I don't have like a VPN and things like that because,
Wait, I mean, you could have used Ola Premium.
That's true, but I'm broke. I don't have money, so I don't have that kind of stuff. But if I could vote here, I absolutely would have voted for Victoria. Not just because I think she, aside from the people that are left, played the best game, but also because she was through and through an audience player. She was playing for the audience. She wanted the chaos. She never brought anything less than like the most, and even if it wasn't like the most advantageous thing for her game, it was just so thoroughly entertaining to watch. And I feel like Vic is someone that early on in the show even were like, if there's a fan favorite award, it would go to Victoria. So I would be very surprised if she doesn't end up winning this. If it's not her, I think it's probably going to be Ro or Kiefer, like I said.
I think so too. Like, it could be anyone really, but those people have the biggest chance.
Yeah, definitely. So that's it. We're at the final three. I think the only thing left to talk about is really just kind of going through all the possibilities here of what could really happen tonight. Like I said, for me, I think best case scenario is a Breydon and Ty final two. It'd be the most interesting. People don't realize how close those two really are. I think a lot of the jury, especially because it happened in the later half of the game. So I think that's going to make it a lot more interesting. But also, I think they do, in a way, have similar stories. Obviously, Ty...
They do, actually.
Than Breydon, where Ty was very much the villain of this season. And that's what I love. He was very much a villain in that way. He made ruthless moves. He wasn't afraid to go after his alliance when he needed to. And I've seen people say, like, why did he make the decision to cut Jed and take Bray instead? But again, it's because Jed was never taking him to that final two. He recognized that. And that's one of the reasons why he had to make that move. And not only did he do that, but it worked for him because he was able to work with other people outside of that alliance, and it made him much more of a free agent in that way. And by doing that, he gained more allies. He had a much better chance of getting to the end. And I don't think there was ever a chance, especially after Jed's eviction, unless Jed came back, that Ty was ever in any real danger. And I think that's very impressive for Ty.
Ty, really impressed me, and he's the one I'm rooting for to win the most. But then obviously I wouldn't be mad if Breydon won.
Right. On the opposite end, I think the thing with Breydon that I love is that there were many opportunities where he probably should have been out. Like Austin left. That was the fourth person to leave the game. Well, actually, no, she was the fifth person to leave. I forgot about Kyle because he's kind of forgettable.
But Kyle's nice, but he was just very he was just kind of there.
He really did not contribute much at all. But Austin went out right before the jury. Breydon probably should have followed her, but yet he found a way to where he was just kind of able to work with where the power is, but also just not sit back and let things happen. Like, he controlled Beth's HOH, which I think he can very much bring up. He can bring up the fact that he got very close with the remnants of the Sunsetters, which I don't think some of them did not want to happen. Like, Jed at first did not want this. He wanted nothing to do with Breydon being in there. I think Ty as well at first didn't want this, but he was able, they warmed up to it. They warmed up to it because, again, Bray found a way to where he made them think this is the most advantageous thing for your game. And especially for Ty, I think that's really impressive. I think that obviously, yes, he did make that one misstep where he could have made a resume move, with using that veto on either Beth or Tera, but he wanted to do what Ty wanted. He didn't want to piss off Ty. He didn't want to rock the boat in that way. So I totally understand why he didn't make that move there, and he was able to get Beth out. So I think there's definitely a lot more that Breydon has done than people are giving him credit for, and I think he does
so too. Honestly, they both have a really good story to win.
Yeah, the way people feel.
Tera, Tera, I've never been really a fan of anyway, but
not really.
The
only time I was a fan of her, like I said, was the week where she tried to flip the vote on Kyle. But other than that,
really the only she definitely played well later on, but I just don't but I'm just not rooting for her to win.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the way people bring up Breydon is how I really feel about Tera, where I don't feel that she's played a winning game. I think there are things that she's done that she definitely can bring up, but she does not have the resume that Breydon or Ty do. So like I've seen a lot of people like say with like stats saying that like if Ty is with Tera, that Tera wins, and I just don't see it. I don't see it happening. I don't think Tera has the resume that Ty does, because again, really throughout the first half of this game, and the thing that everyone I think is going to bring up if Tera's at the end is that she really did not do much until she won HOH, and that's the truth. She did not do much until she won that HOH. It seemed like for a while she was going to make some kind of a move, but it never really worked out for her, whereas I feel like Ty always was where the power was, always found a way to have a hand in pretty much every vote. There was never a point in the game where anyone wanted to actively go after Ty. And even the moment where people thought Ty might have been the invisible HOH, they didn't want to go after him after that. So like, again, still just really impressive game from him. I just don't think Tera has that game right now. I think the only thing that she really did was win a buyback, get Jet out, Kiefer and Kiefer and Tina, and that's kind of it. I think Tera has one locked vote, and that's it. Maybe Beth, maybe she has Beth, because Beth is saying she wants to vote for her, which I can see, but still, that's 2 votes. Not going to be 5 votes.
I mean, who knows? Maybe Beth won't even vote for her.
Maybe I could. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Beth is very petty, so I really don't know.
Beth is just very confusing.
Definitely. Yeah. Her whole game this season has been very confusing. And I feel like Tera's game as well has been kind of confusing to me as well. And she hasn't really had the greatest read on things either. So, and I also think the other thing that really hurts Tera's game again is her being so confident that Jed was going to win the game and not recognizing that Ty was in a much better position than Jed. So, and I think that is going to hurt her in the end of the game, especially if she's sitting next to Ty, because he can definitely like bring that up and say like, I was able to successfully convince Tera that Jed was a bigger threat than me, when in reality, I was always the bigger threat. So I just don't think Tera has that great of a shot. And I just don't understand the standing for Tera. I get it that we've never seen someone who's won a buyback won the game. But that's happened for a reason. And I also don't think of the people that's won a buyback, Tera is the best to play the game in that way. I think there are way better options in terms of people who have won a buyback and come back and played much more impressive games. I don't think Tera is one of them.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, also, I just checked on Twitter, and Kayla from Big Brother Canada 6, she's also rooting for Kiefer, Spicy V, and Rohan for Canada's fave, and she said it's.
I feel like those are like pretty much the lock 3. I'd be surprised if anyone else gets in there. I know there's a lot of stands for like Austin and things like that, but I just don't. I don't see it happening. I think it's probably
those are her top 3, but so I'm assuming those are who she's rooting for the favorite award.
Yeah,
and also just like this tweet that says sending Ty positive vibes.
Yes, definitely. We want all the positive vibes for Ty tonight. I think if Ty wins this game, it's one of the most deserving winners we've had in a while. I think the game that he played is a phenomenal one, and I think we definitely should. Respect it. We've had one show this week that has not disappointed us. Let's have another one. Come on, let's have the right winner win this game. That would be fantastic to see.
I would love that.
Yes, it would be great to see Ty win this game for sure. That's definitely what I want to happen. But other than that, that's really all we have to talk about moving forward in terms of Big Brother Canon. And now, of course, in terms of the finale, let's talk about that. So we are going to be back for the finale. But because of the fact that we had a lot of different guests throughout the season, I thought it'd be kind of cool to try to bring some of them back for the finale. So we are going to be having some of our guests throughout our coverage of this season come back on. I don't know who yet. I don't know how many they're going to be, but they're going to be here. It's going to be fun to talk about, and I'm really excited to definitely discuss this season with them and everything like that. And just in general, I mean, hoping this is a great finale. I think the season
Hope
is
so.
so consistent, and I'm hoping this finale ends in the best possible way, because I would not like, because again, Big Brother has this trend, and this is why I'm worried. Big Brother has this trend for me where like the best finales, the best seasons have like the worst finales. So I'm hoping that is not the case for this season.
Same. Oh, I was just reading the Victoria Nation chat, and someone said that there's a spoiler account saying Tera won unanimously, which I do not think that's true.
There's no way. There's no way. I also saw one that said like Ty and Breydon are the final two. So they don't.
Yeah, I do not think Tera would win unanimously. Honestly, the only for sure vote for her would be like Tina.
Yeah, I just don't see why they'd want to vote for Tera. Like, why is her game more impressive than Breydon's? Why is her game more impressive than... I just don't see it. I don't see it. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing. I don't know. But I just don't see it right now.
Yeah, I think it's...
I also feel like in a season...
I feel like it's going to be Ty and Breydon.
Yeah, I also feel like in a season that was like all about diversity and like having the most diverse cast possible, having some like middle-aged white woman win, not the greatest ending. Not the greatest ending. I would not want to be... I would not want that season to be the season where just some middle-aged white woman who has actually had a lot of microaggressions towards some of the people on the cast, win. So
yeah,
I would love that.
Yeah, I don't want a white person to win.
Yeah, definitely not. So as long as Tera wins, like I feel like it's going to be a good finale tonight. That's really where I just am at this point. But again, we'll have to see how things really do turn out. There's still a lot of possibilities for what can really end up happening. And what's crazy is that it's not actually live. This finale already happened. So it's going to be interesting to see, what really does come out. Stay off the internet, all that stuff, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of spoilers and things like that. So I'm excited to see how things really do go. So like I said, we are going to do the finale, and then something else I think that would be fun to do after the season, like some off-season coverage, is like maybe go back at like our cast assessment and like watch through that and like see what we were absolute idiots about with like what we said.
That would be so funny.
Yeah, I think that would be fun to do. So I think
we do like a live reaction, like we could watch it while we're doing this.
That's pretty much what I was thinking we'd do, because I think that'd be fun to do overall. But other than that, guys, that's it for this episode of A Conversation with Kely. Very excited for this finale tonight. I think it's going to be a really great one for sure. And is there anything else you want to say?
I mean, just hope for Ty to win and hope for Victoria to win, and I just love the season.
Yeah, me too. I've absolutely adored this season. I think it's just been so consistent, especially in terms of gameplay. Maybe we haven't had the greatest gameplay, but everyone's been actively playing the game. There's no one that's like been just like sitting around. Well, maybe Tina was kind of doing that, but like everyone's been trying to play the game. There wasn't anyone that was just like floating through it. And so I think that overall is very impressive, especially at the end of this game. So other than that, guys, for this video, hope you guys enjoyed it. We will see you guys in our next video. Hype for the finale tonight, and we will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.
Bye.